Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in this episode, we are going to kickstart our front-end development and we are going to set up our project using Next.js. By the way, we are going to be using the latest Next.js, which is version 13.3. And with this latest version, we have a lot of changes with Next.js, which will probably means you have to put away whatever knowledge of Next.js you have before. So let's flow along. So first thing first, I'll copy the command here, then go into my terminal and paste. So, but before we paste, I want to locate the directory we want to work in this case, my tutorials. Then I want to cd into it. So it's located within desktop, then my tutorials, like that. So now that we are within the directory, I can paste in the command I copied, and I will need to specify the name of the project I want to create. So I'll call it bloodgrid_frontend. Okay, so with the latest Next.js flow, it's going to ask us a lot of questions, which we are going to either answer yes or no. So we are going to follow along with that as well. So as you can see, would we like to use TypeScript, which is yes, ESLint, yes, Tailwind, no, source directory, no, app router, yes. Yeah, I'm not sure what this does, but I'll just choose no, since that was the default by the way. So this is going to run through the process of creating the project for us, and we'll wait for it. Alright, so that's done, and we can now navigate to the new project that has been created. And within that project, we are going to open it up with our code editor. In this case, I'm going to be using VS Code, so code, then dot. So it's going to open the project within VS Code. So here is our project, and it looks like what we used to have. And to start the server, we can proceed to package.json, and we see the scripts to run. So we can use the dev like we used to start the server. So we have npm run dev. So this is what we will get out of the box. And you can confirm this based on the fact that we have the package-lock.json here. It means npm is controlling things. But if you have noticed, I like using yarn, so I would ignore this for now. I'll remove the node modules. And I'll remove the log file. Now I'm going to just type in yarn and enter. So now yarn is going to run the installation. So we have all the dependencies listed out here. So yarn is going to install those dependencies and is going to also create a yarn log file. So let's wait for it. So everything is done and now we have the yarn.log file. Okay, so now I can use yarn stats instead of typing three things, npm run stats. Oh, okay, we can't use stats yet until we'll build, so I'll just clear this out. And instead I'll type in yarn dev. Alright, so this is running on this server. So if we come back to our browser and type in localhost 3000, we get this fine page. So this is different from what we used to have. However, we are going to have some cleanup, and before we have that cleanup, let's quickly go over some of the changes. So as you can see, we have this app folder, and that's a major component of the latest Next.js system. So in here we have page, which is going to be the index of any application. Then we have other things like we used to in terms of the module, in terms of the style. And now we have a layout as well. So if we remember, we used to have underscore app.ts or js or whichever we want to use. But we no longer have that. Instead, we have the layout.ts file, which is where we make some setting, which I'm going to remove by the way, so we can have a clean slate. So yeah, let me quickly remove them. So by the way, we'll be writing our own CSS. So yeah, take note of that. So as we can see here, we can quickly set some header information. So I'll just call this welcome to Blood Grit. And here we're going to have some description. Let's just have it as Blood Grit description for now. Okay, so that's the first part. Then the second part is the page. So initially this used to be index.js, but now it's page. And that's because most of the components are named labeled now. So we have layout, which is meant to handle layout for your particular component. So this is the page and that's the entry. So we're going to remove all this. And we have this as main, which doesn't really mean anything much. So now with those two information removed, we can remove the CSS file, or rather let's rename it and call this style. And we're going to be using SCSS. So also we're going to remove this. So to use SCSS, we are going to have to install the SCSS package. So we have yarn add SCSS, or rather SAS. So we want to install SAS. So installation is complete and we can proceed with whatever we are doing. So if you remember, if we come back to our browser, we have Trello, which is targeting what we need to do. So basically we have setting up the UI as our doing. So that's majorly our focus. So let's work that out, and if we still have more time, we can move on to other things. And setting up UI with this latest Next.js is very easy, and that's what your layout is meant to achieve. So what we are going to have within the index page now is just going to be welcome to Blood Grit. And if we run the server yarn dev, I will go back to a page. So as you can see, we have the header here, which we set, and we have welcome Blood Grit here. So the next thing we want to do is to come back to this style, remove everything here, and I want to set HTML and body. I want to have the margin as 0, then the padding as 0 as well. And if we shed back, okay, nothing has happened, and that's because we've not really used the style. So to use the style, we can't include it here directly. So if you remember, we can't include style directly within our component. We can only include style module, okay? So the same thing applies still. So to use your style, you come down to the layout. So that's where you can include your style. And in here, we're going to have import style.scss. So let's make it relative import. So like that. And now if we shed back again, we can see that the margin and the padding, whichever exists, has been removed. So we are done with this part. So to actually fix our layout, if we shed this, or rather our Figma, the layout is just having things at the center, having a maximum width, okay? So having a maximum width and ensuring everything is in center. Every other thing, as we can see here, are components which we are going to check out in our next task. So if we come back to our style, and we come back to the page, I would actually change this to div and give this a class name, container. Then in my style, I'm going to have this as .container, max width of 1400 pixel, then margin from top and bottom 0, from left and right auto. So this should center things. So let's see what this looks like. All right, so this is what we get, and that's all we need to do in regards to our layout setup. So now that we are done with this, we can drag this to done and push in the next task to do. So we're going to be visiting this next task in our next episode. So let's round up here for today.